This is Portside Perspectives, exploring the yacht economy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Portside Perspectives. I'm here today with Tom Alston. He is a California sales tax and use tax expert, but he's very specific within the aircraft and vessels and yacht tax world. So, Thomas, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jace.
It's nice to meet you, and why don't we just start off with you just tell us a little bit about what you do. And I mean, I know the podcast here kind of focuses around the what I call yacht economy, but you're not just dealing with yachts. But tell us what it is you actually do.
The name of the company is Aero and Marine, obviously airplanes and vessels. And we also do vehicle sales tax situations. And sales tax is actually the wrong word, and I know that, but I have to use that word because the public at large misuses the word, so I've got to speak in terms that they duplicate. So we're actually in the use tax business. Sales tax in California is a very narrow definition. It has to be delivered inside of California out of the inventory of someone who has a seller's permit. So it's a very narrow definition. In California, all transactions that are different than that, if it's not delivered in California, it can't be a sales tax transaction. If it's not delivered outside of the inventory of a company with a seller's permit, it won't be a sales tax transaction. They'll all be use tax transactions.
Mm-hmm. So, and I just want to be clear with people, we did talk about this beforehand, that you solely operate within California. And obviously laws are going to be different in California than they are other places. Hopefully you can touch a little bit on some things that are broad spectrum for most places, but we want to be clear that this is kind of very specific to California where you operate.
Absolutely.
Okay. So again, what is it you actually do for people? How do you actually help people within this tax situation and tax world and the world of yachts and airplanes?
Well, I'll start from the top. We have done a little over 2,500 of these cases, and not one of those clients has ever paid a dime in tax to California. They're all come out with zero liability. We do not minimize taxes. We eliminate them completely. If you hire us and follow all of our instructions, you can't fail. No one's ever failed.
Right. And you stay pretty busy with this?
Well, I'm a typical business owner. I'm never as busy as I want to be, but the answer is yes.
Yeah. Cool. And so just to clarify for my own information, is this a similar tax situation, whether it's dealing with airplanes or nautical vessels? Do they kind of fall into the same world, or are there differences between them?
Well, the answer is it depends. You can use all of the exemptions, but for vessels, we typically don't use the business use exemption that we use for virtually 100% of our aircraft transactions. So there, primarily in California, there's an exemption as long as you take possession outside of California. Doesn't mean you can't buy a California vessel. It just means you have it delivered outside the 3-mile limit. California you're no longer in the state of California if you're beyond 3 miles from the offshore. The federal limit is 12 miles, so that people know that there's a difference. So if they deliver it outside the 3-mile limit and the vessel remains outside of California for the first 12 months and they can document it, they can legally pay zero tax on the purchase price. And in California, the sales tax runs close to 8% up to around 11%.
And on a multi-million-dollar vessel, that's a big deal.
A lot of money, yes.
Yeah. So I got to ask Tom, how did you get into this specifically? This world specific. I mean, you obviously there's accountants and tax professionals, but you've kind of just chosen to go into this very specific niche. So explain kind of your background and how you.
The very short answer to your question is the word is baseball. In fact, I got asked so many times I created a video to explain the whole thing, which I would take up, half of your your podcast time to explain it to you, but I had a relationship with a guy who was a youth baseball coach. We became very good friends. At the time, I owned the world's largest race car building company, and I sold it and got out of that business. And then I got bored and I wanted to do something. So I went to work for him and he asked me to come to work for him to be his campaign manager. I'm going to go as quickly as I can to make the short version of this.
That's
And
okay.
he asked me to be his campaign manager. So I said, yes, of course I'll do that, of which I knew nothing about and had no experience. But he had told me he wanted to lose. So I didn't have anything to lose. And he wanted the notoriety for his sales tax company. He was a guy that did represented businesses in California that were being audited by the state of California for their sales tax reporting. And so I went to work for him doing that. While I was in his company, I did was doing some kind of research and seeing what he was doing because I had no idea what his company really did, and discovered he had done some aircraft transactions specifically for the guy that brought the Kansas City basketball team to Sacramento, known as the Sacramento Kings. And he said, I'm not interested in that. It's too boring. He said, why don't you do it? Well, I'm not a detail guy. I'm not a college graduate. So I said, yes. I didn't feel like I have anything to lose. In about 2 years, my little division inside of his company was doing 60 to 70% of the volume of the entire company. And he had 4 or 5 people on staff that were doing these sales tax audits. And when we decided to do this together, we had a specific commission arrangement where I was going to get 28% of whatever income the company generated. Well, he developed amnesia about our deal and started paying me less, so it dissolved. And I created Aero and Marine Tax Professionals and continued on.
Right. Okay, so before I move on to anything else, is there anything you want to, maybe like without getting, obviously, I assume it's a fairly complex thing or can be to get people down to paying zero tax on these vessels and airplanes. But are there some tips and tricks that somebody might be able to follow just kind of in a nutshell? I don't need you to go too deep into it, but like some big things that people would maybe never even would have thought of that would help them out.
Everything in tax depends upon documentation. They're not really ever going to take testimony. You as a taxpayer don't ever want to get involved with the state of California and trying to think you're going to win something because of testimony. It's all about documentation. So
Yep.
we're really in the document business. We tell people what to collect. We tell them exactly how to collect it, and then
Mhm.
we gather it and format it so that it gets put together into a tax return. We call it a tax return, so that the state can easily understand that they should be granting the exemption, and that's why we've never lose.
All right. So is this based on uh, solely businesses, I guess, that you're dealing with that they're able to eliminate these taxes, or are they just like individuals buying a vessel as well? Is there a delineation there?
Well, yes, there's two exemptions. One of them is business related and one of them is personal use related. For vessels, we have done 99% of the vessels we've done have been personal use, which is this two-step basis. You take possession of it outside of California and you have to, through documentation, support that it never entered California anytime during the first 12 months. And if they take possession in Southern California, the easiest thing to do is go down to Ensenada because it's just a little bit over the border, which means you can drive down and see your vessel anytime you want. There's a good highway between the border and Ensenada. So that's pretty much the way that we do. I'm going to say all, even though I'll admit that there's one person who's done business on.
Okay.
And that's how we do the vessels.
Right. And so obviously we mentioned that you're strictly working within California. Is there any opportunities for you to continue doing some of this same sort of thing for people up in Oregon? You just need to learn the different rules up there. If there's even the same or similar sort of situation, I'm assuming it all kind of runs similar, but with slightly different laws and different tax
No, they're drastically different. Each state creates its own laws and regulations relative to their sales tax, and uh, I don't want to go through all the research again to create it. I picked California because I live in California, and because somewhere between 14 and 16% of all airplanes are in the United States are in California. So it's
Wow.
a it's a pretty good sized market.
That's a huge market, and I imagine the yachts and boats like that are a pretty big market down there too, having the beautiful California weather and a large population around Southern California and that sort of thing as well, right?
I believe that's true, but I didn't do the research.
Fair enough. So how long did it take you to actually do the research and learn all about this industry and how to navigate through it?
You're asking me specifically about vessels, or
Just the
uh,
business that you're in. I mean, you said you were working for somebody else doing this and kind of in a roundabout way
yeah,
got into it. How long did it take you to actually, um, you know, get proficient?
probably 5 or 6 months, 8 to 10 hours a day worth of research and reading all the case notes and all of the things they did. And what I did was I went through at the time 100% of the cases that had been done in the past because there was documentation about it. And I made notes as I went through it of all the failure points that the state discovered to make someone's event taxable. And then I basically run 100% of my clients through 100% of those failure points. And if you think about it, you can't, the only way you can fail it is when the state lies to you and changes their mind. And they're
Mm.
trying to do that right now in specific areas. In other words, they'll go along for 10 years saying this is okay, and then all of a sudden they change their mind and say, no, this is no longer okay.
But
And
they'll probably give you another loophole to navigate through to avoid whatever they change. I mean, that's kind of the nature of taxes all around.
not in California, not in
You know?
California. They
But
don't they, they
you're
don't
still
care
able
that
to
they
get people to zero, though. You're saying.
yeah, but they don't the state doesn't care about the fact that they tell you, no, we never did that, which is what they always say. And it's not true because I have all these cases that I actually did it. So it's just, it's the nature of the appetite that California has for raising tax revenue. And it's sometimes well, I used to have a full head of hair, but I pulled it all out. Uh, just, we have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Um, well, so here I thought that this was something that took you years and years and years to navigate. But are you a CPA? Like, are you actually a
I'm not a CPA or an attorney. I'm just an individual who decided I'd like to try something, and I built the
well,
largest company in California that does it.
that's really cool that you're not an accountant or a lawyer or anything like that. You just navigated the waters of this world and found a way for people to get through it. And good on you for helping people out and creating a business out of something like that. Hopefully that would hopefully that motivates somebody else to take on what they're doing and do something similar. Not similar to what you're doing, but know that. You don't necessarily need to be the professional and gone to college to make something of yourself and do something to help people, right?
Nope. I was looking for something to do that I felt would be worthwhile and that would help people. And when my former friend gave me the opportunity to do it, I jumped at it. And unfortunately, it cost me his friendship, but because we were also in a parallel role, we were also baseball coaches together, even at the
Mm-hmm.
high school level. So it's been a fun ride, and if there's anything I can tell anybody who wants to buy a boat that's located in California is that never, ever, ever, ever take possession of a boat while it's inside California because you can't get away from the tax if you do that. The first step to get out any of the exemption is taking possession outside of California.
Okay.
So do not ever let your out-of-state CPA who knows they're primarily driven towards income tax. That's what CPAs do. They're income tax people. They're federal people. But don't let them tell you to take possession inside of California, because if your first step is possession inside of California, it's taxable under California law. So
So how do you
never.
navigate that if the vessel is existing in California? You just sail it to
They have,
outside of
we
the
make them
boundaries?
we make the seller deliver it outside the 3 mile limit.
That's
Outside,
it.
get more than 3 miles outside, and that's with all the GPS stuff that's on boats now. It's easy to dock.
Document it, like you said, document everything. So before I get too much further, obviously you have a business and some knowledge and skill to help a lot of people potentially. Is there anywhere you want people to go to find you easily and readily? What's the best place for people to find you?
The best way is to call me at 916-691-9192. The call is always free, right up until the point that you have a problem that I can solve for you, and then I'm going to charge you money for that.
Oh, okay. And then your website is Aero Marine taxpros.com.
Correct.
And I'll do my best to put that into the show notes here at the bottom so everybody has a link to it as well. Any other social media platforms that you have or want people to check out?
Well, Marcella in my office, she runs our Instagram, our LinkedIn, our Facebook, all of those things. We promote ourselves fairly heavily, but because we're limited to California, we're broadcasting broadly to the whole world. And it's California's only a few million people compared to the people on the planet. So it's always a little bit of a crapshoot for us to find people, but it's part of what we face every day, and that's why Marcella runs the internet department, as we call it.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So, I mean, speaking of that, while we're kind of on that subject, are you doing any specific marketing or things outside of just social media to draw people to you, let them know that you exist and help people find you?
Other than webinars, no. I have found, after I'm 77 years old, and I have found that print media is never a place to advertise. If you don't have a mass market product that everyone needs, it's a waste of time. Going for a niche business like I'm in, it's a waste of time, because it's like yelling into, I don't know, what do they say? There is 8
To the
billion.
void?
How many
Yelling?
people
Yeah.
there are on the planet, and hoping to sell your plumbing service in Sacramento? It's not worth the effort. You've got to find other ways of reaching your local markets or your targeted markets.
Right. So how is it that you kind of focus on to do that?
We try everything that we can think of every day, and I don't feel we've ever actually found the golden ticket or the ring for on the Ferris wheel, not the
Hmm.
Ferris, the merry-go-round. So I don't feel that we have enough reach to our specific market. If anybody knows anywhere that people who are thinking about buying vessels or thinking about buying airplanes, they're all at, please let me know, because I'd love the bump in business.
Well, hopefully, you'll reach a few with this podcast here. Being in the niche that we're focused in, hopefully you'll reach a few people here. Um, and so here's another question for you. You kind of brought it up, like you have all of this checklist that you go through to make sure people walk through the proper steps and get the proper documentation and do everything without skipping a beat and getting charged some taxes. Is this all done manually? You do this all manually pretty well?
I think what you asked me is, do my consultants gather stuff manually? The answer is yes. I don't know how to do it, because even after someone first hires us, they have absolutely no idea of what we really want and need. So usually for the first month or two, we're correcting them. We're always correcting. No, this isn't exactly what you need. This isn't exactly what you need. so that by the time they come to the end of the test period, which is 12 months, we are collecting exactly what we need. It's a constant quality control process.
Okay, and you said consultants, so you have other people that work for you to help you do.
Yeah, I've been out of the consulting business for years. My wife runs all of the consulting work inside the company. I give her the hard job to do. Uh, yeah, I hear about it every day. So you have to you really need to have the viewpoint, I think, of being a mom. You have to be able to instill discipline in your children, our clients, because it's amazing how many people will hire you to do something and then try not to follow your directions, especially in the aircraft business.
Mm.
Uh, it's just, they're somewhat successful to be able to afford a couple $100,000 to several $100 million purchase, and they think that they know it all. And they may know it all in their world, but they don't know it in mine. And we have to, through gentle nudging, constantly following up with them, eventually bring them on board. And it goes through a thing that we do called order. There's two definitions of the word order. Okay. One of them is bringing stability out of confusion. In other words, we're creating order in the confusion that they have, that they don't know anything about the sales tax business. Okay. The second definition of order is you have to be able to follow orders. And that's what we do. We initiate, when you hire us, we're giving you orders. And if you're not going to follow our orders, you're going to wind up, the penalty is the tax. Anytime you don't want to follow our directions, you can give us money, which we're going to keep, and let you pay the tax.
Right.
It's your decision. One of the reasons why I always get paid 100% up front is because I discovered a long time ago that it was a bit of a ethics gradient for someone to give me, let's say, $10,000 to save them the tax on a $1 million vessel, and then remind them, you paid me $10,000 to do this. It's non-refundable. So if that's not enough of an ethics gradient to get you to follow our orders, then pay the tax as the penalty. And
So
that's that way that we work.
yeah, so okay, so you kind of said something there that piqued my interest. This you said this process can be as long as 12 months. Is that pretty standard for most of your clients to go through a process that takes that long?
For vessels, yes. For airplanes, no. There's an exemption known as the interstate commerce test. It's a 6 month test starting from the moment of first entry into California. So we're primarily operating on that basis, a 6 month test.
You say test. So is this a process that the government puts people through that determines how much tax they pay?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and you help navigate through these tests.
They're test periods. Okay.
Yeah.
There's the interstate commerce test period, which is 6 months long. And then there's the principal use test, which is a 12-month long cycle. And for vessels, primarily, it's 12 months.
Okay, cool. I guess that makes sense. So it's not a purchase that happens and then the government just says, "Oh, you owe us this tax." They actually have to go through a process over the course of that time um to get to where they are able to charge you a certain amount of tax depending on what you purchased. And then I'm just clarifying that you are there to help people navigate through that time frame and that process. And hopefully people contact you before that process starts so that you can get all the documentation in place. What if someone were to start into that process without calling you first? And is it too late then, or can you still help them?
Now I'm going to give you an answer that sounds like an attorney. Depends. As long as you haven't violated any of the basic steps. In other words, if they took possession of a vessel outside the state of California, any location, and they have not brought it into California anytime within the first 12 months, the answer is yes. If it's in California or they took possession of it inside of California, there's nothing I can do for them. That's why I
Even
went to the
Within
test it.
that 12 months, that if the vessel enters California anytime within that 12 months,
It fails the test.
really?
Yep.
Wow. So if you're buying a vessel to be in California, make sure it stays outside of California for that first year. And
Yep.
it's taken possession of outside of California.
Both.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I said in the beginning or earlier on that if you're outside of California resident, never ever take possession of a boat while it's inside California. If you do, you're going to owe California tax. And in
And they,
fact, I just had a communication yesterday with a guy he's having his attorney advised him, I think he was from Texas, but I don't remember for sure. And his attorney said that's illegal. They can't do that. Wrong. It has gone to court and California wins every time.
hmm and they can't even sail through California waters during that 12-month period either. They've got to, if they're going to go sail, it's got to be up north or um, somewhere
They
else.
have to justify that. Let's say that they coming from the Northwest and they want to go down to Mexico. They have to stay outside the 3 mile limit.
3 mile,
They have to
yeah.
the thing that they don't realize is that aircraft are all taxable by law in California. Every vessel transaction, every aircraft transaction on planet Earth is taxable by law in California if it ever enters California and violates one of the two exemptions. So it's it's the burden of the taxpayer, which is always the truth. The burden, the taxpayer has to keep the documentation. The taxpayer has to know how to file it. The taxpayer has to know if the state pushes back and says, no, we're not going to accept this, what to do. And virtually no one who hasn't been through this before knows how to do that. That's where we come.
And you know what? They do make it difficult, it sounds like, but it's well worth it if they know how to navigate it and get your help before the purchase. Like we said earlier, you're spending millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on some of these vessels. It's well worth the tax. What is the top state tax for a purchase of something?
It's right around it's based on where the vessel is marinaed while it's in California. Every county has a different tax rate because the state tax rate is 7.25, but each county adds on little things for their special districts, and so it can get up to close to 11%.
Wow, 11% on like.
Well, if you think about it, if you buy $1 million vessel, it's $110,000.
That's right. I mean, that's a lot of money you could save. Fork over 10 grand to Thomas here, and he'll help you save the other $100,000, and that's on $1 million vessel. We all know that there's vessels out there that are tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in value, and that's a major savings to the purchaser if they can avoid these hoops that the government has created. But you can navigate it and get around it.
It's 100% true.
Great, awesome. Okay, so are you finding that you're like has your business been growing over the last several years? Are you kind of plateaued? Are you getting bigger? Are you seeing more people coming to find you, or more people buying vessels? Is there any trends that you're kind of seeing in the industry that you're in?
In California, I have a very definitive answer for that, especially in my airplane clients, but this is also true for vessels. A lot of people who have wealth are growing older. So as they get older, and California, in its voracious aptitude for aggressiveness for tax, starts attacking these people, the people who can most afford to move are the wealthy people, and they all move out of state. So most of my business is from people coming back, returning clients or referring clients. Once they move out of state, there's no reason for me to, they have no reason to come bring me. So they're diminishing the size of my market as fast as they can. And it's just because of the insane viewpoint that socialist governments have about tax revenue. They've never figured out that it's never worked anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And you're noticing that, like you're noticing that this is the trend that's happening in the time you've been doing this.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Um, are there any other major tips that you could give people that hopefully, if they have not yet brought their vessel into California and not sailed through California, is there any other like one or two major points that you could say to people like, and don't do this either, just number one point, what you should do is get a hold of Thomas. and
And
then,
that's why I gave you my phone number rather than my web address, because my phone number, you can get in touch with me instantly. If you try to go through a website and you send me a form submission and it's 10 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to call you until I get to work and open up the office. So that's why I always give out my phone number, which again is 916-691-9192. If you need to talk to me, it's always free to talk to me. If you're not a completely out of state resident, I'll get all the details that you have, and I'll be very honest with you about what you can do and what you should do. And again, I won't start to send you a proposal for our services until I figure out that there's something I can do to help you. If you've done something that I can't help you, there's nothing I can do. That's why those calls have to be free. The public needs to be able to reach to me and get information from me, which is free advice. And even though I think it's valuable, you always make those claims that free advice isn't worth anything. You can always reach me at 916-691-9192, and I'll speak straight with you.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some big bullet points for people what they should and shouldn't do, but it's got to be way more complex. And the best thing for them to do is to just get a hold of you and, like you said, to have a quick phone call to see if they've already um, crossed the line, I guess, and kind of shot themselves in the foot. But if they haven't, then you are very much there to help them navigate through all of this and find a way to not pay any tax on that vessel or aircraft in California. Are you, as far as you know, are you the only person kind of doing this in California, as far as you know?
No, as far as I know a lot of the people that are my competitors in their mind used to work for me, because it's
Oh,
typical, even in attorneys, that an attorney comes to work for an attorney firm, then gets up to a point that his confidence in his own ability, and then they go off on their own. And there's virtually no way to stop it, especially in California, because you can't have a non-compete clause. They're not valid inside of California. So we just have to realize that when we train consultants, that we're training potentially in the future our own competition.
right. Okay. Fair enough. Um, and you've never gone outside of California with regards to this stuff. And, I kind of asked about other states, but, you're not inclined to go into other states. And the rules are so different. Probably it doesn't really matter anyways. But is there anything else, you want to share with people before we sign off here? I mean, it's been great talking with you. You've shared a lot with people here and maybe opened up some eyes to potential buyers of vessels, that they could avoid some serious pitfalls here if they follow the right rules and phone you. And so, is there anything else you want to share with people?
Uh, I think we've done a pretty good job of covering everything that I can think of at this moment. If I think of something that we left out, I'll reach out to you and you can find a way to get that information out to your
But I
follow.
mean, if people have questions, they have your phone number. I think you've thrown it out there at least 3 times. I'll probably put it in the show notes for you as well, so people actually have it in writing and they can find you easily. I'll try to link all of your all
You
the
can
links.
also give them my email address. In
Uh,
fact, I'll even go farther than that. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. If they want to call me in the evenings or on Saturday and Sunday, it's 916-769-6304.
and all It looks like almost all of your information is very much on LinkedIn here under your profile, Thomas A. Alston. That's Alston. And you could also look up Aero and Marine tax professionals on LinkedIn. It'll bring you back to Thomas as well. Under his contact information, there's the website, the phone number, the email. Everything is there for people to find if they can't find it through this podcast. It's there.
So let's make a point. When you say Aero and Marine, it's not ARROW, it's AERO, Aero, as in aeroplanes. Aero and Marine tax professionals, plural.
Mm-hmm. And do you sail or get own vessels or in the past or now or ever? Have you been a yachty or you just help them out?
For 4 decades, I coached high school baseball. So I never really had time to either think about becoming a pilot or think about owning a vessel. So that's my cop out. No.
Okay, fair enough. I usually ask a fun question at the end to people that are in the yachting industry here about what their favorite destination is or location to go sail or
any place warm and on the water.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thomas, it's been really cool talking with you. You've had a different take on, what I kind of call the yacht economy, and you're just another person that makes a living off of the world of yachts. And it just goes to show, how much money a single vessel pumps into the economy in general, and how many jobs it creates, and how far the reach of these vessels really is. I mean, we talk about it all the time, and how much benefit they have to the economy as a whole. And you're just another piece of that pie, and making a living off of it and doing well. Obviously, you're in the aircraft business as well, but you're still making money off of the yacht economy in your own right. So good on you for breaking into it and doing it the way you've done it. And again, it was super nice talking with you. Hopefully people got some valuable information. If they need some help, they'll hopefully reach out to you, and hopefully we've helped expand your reach a little bit. And it was great having you.
That would be great. That'd be great. Let's do it again sometime.
All right. I guess we'll talk to you again another time. Have a great day.
That's my plan every morning when I wake up.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for sailing with us. This has been Portside Perspectives.